All right, let's jump right into a question that pretty much everyone with a little extra cash has to ask themselves. Should I invest this money or should I use it to pay down my debt? Now, the answer might seem like it's just a simple math problem. But you know what? The smartest people, they often get this one dangerously wrong. You see, the legendary investor Charlie Munger had a very clear take on this. He didn't see debt as some clever tool for intelligent people. No, he saw it as a trap that brilliant people fall into all the time. This isn't about how smart you are. It's about avoiding what Munger called compound stupidity. So where does this trap even begin? Well, it starts with the question itself. The moment you ask, should I invest or should I pay off debt, you've already made a huge assumption. You've accepted that being in debt is just normal, a normal part of life. And according to Munger, that right there, normalizing it, is where the financial disaster really begins. Okay, let's tackle the first big myth, what I like to call the gambler's math. This is that super seductive idea that you can just borrow money at a low interest rate, turn around and invest it for a higher return, and then just pocket the difference. It sounds so logical, doesn't it? And this is the argument you hear all the time. People pull out a spreadsheet and say, look, my car loan is at 3%, and the S&P 500 averages like 7% a year. This is a no-brainer. It's a free 4% profit. But this simple, clean little math equation, it leaves out the single most important variable in the entire universe. And here it is. This is where it all falls apart. Look at the difference. When you pay off a 3% loan, you get a guaranteed, tax-free 3% return on your money. It's a rock-solid certainty. But investing for that 7% return, that is pure speculation. It comes with market crashes, economic disasters, and the biggest risk of them all, your own human brain, which is probably going to panic at the worst possible time. One of these is a fact, the other is a hope. Munger's take on this is just perfect. He says you might call it investing, but he calls it gambling in a tuxedo. I mean, what a line. Because when you invest with borrowed money, you're not some sophisticated financial wizard. You're a gambler. And the worst part is, unlike the guy at the poker table, you've probably convinced yourself you're being smart and responsible. So if the math is a gamble, what about the other big myth? This idea that debt is just a tool. You know, it's neutral, like a hammer or a screwdriver. But this completely ignores the massive psychological weight that comes with it. It's not a tool, it's a burden, a prison. Munger's definition was so much more vivid. He didn't see it as a tool at all. He called it a parasite on your future. Think about that. It doesn't just take your money every month. It actively feeds on your mental energy, your peace of mind, and all your future opportunities. And this is how it does it. This parasite rewires your brain. First, it kills your patience, which is literally the oxygen that successful investing needs to breathe. Then, it forces you into short-term thinking. You stop thinking about the next decade and start obsessing about the next credit card payment. And finally, it makes you incredibly fragile. One little piece of bad luck, a job loss, a medical bill, can wipe you out completely. And you know what the end result of all that is? Your entire world just shrinks. You stop looking for opportunities and you start focusing only on survival. Every decision becomes defensive. You're no longer playing to win, you're just playing not to lose. And let me tell you, that is not the mindset of a great investor. This brings us to the final and maybe the most important myth we need to bust. We have to completely redefine what it actually means to be wealthy, because the popular definition, just having a high net worth, is deeply, deeply flawed, especially if that net worth is built on a shaky foundation of debt. So what's the alternative? Munger had a much better definition. Real wealth isn't a number in your brokerage account. It's freedom. It's the point where you and only you control your time, your decisions, and your own peace of mind. It's when no bank, no lender, no one else owns a piece of your future. I mean, this slide just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the person who looks rich. They've got the fancy car, the big house, all the stuff. But they're also drowning in constant worry because they are owned by their payments. Then, on the right, you have the person who is truly free. They might not look as flashy, but they have the one thing the other person craves, the ability to sleep peacefully at night. And this is why freedom is the ultimate investment. It's not some fluffy, feel-good idea. It's a hardcore strategic asset. That freedom gives you the clarity to make good decisions, the power to say no to bad deals, and the patience to just sit and wait for that perfect opportunity. That kind of optionality, it's absolutely priceless. So, what does this all mean for you? What's the takeaway? It means embracing the slow, kind of boring path. Because the single best, guaranteed, risk-free return you will ever find in your entire life is paying off your debt. So here's the playbook. This is the Munger method. First, you treat high-interest debt like your house is on fire. Get rid of it with absolute urgency. Then you live below your means to create a surplus. You build up a foundation of savings, a cash cushion. And only then, do you invest patiently from a position of strength, never desperation. The number one rule is just to stay in the game by avoiding ruin at all costs. Because when you really boil it all down, this is the ultimate advantage. When you are free from debt, you have the power of patience. You can afford to sit back and wait for the world to hand you a golden opportunity. But when you're in debt, you're forced to chase after anything that looks like a lifeline. And the market? Well, the market does not reward beggars. So I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. From now on, every time you make a financial choice, ask yourself this. Is this decision building my long-term freedom? Or am I just buying another fancy decoration for a prison I'm building around myself? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know. Thanks for tuning in.